Thank you, everyone. I am very excited for this panel. We're going to be talking about AI, not limited to commerce, and we're going to be walking through actionable insights for both B2B and B2C, deliverable in under a year. We're not talking 2 years worth of road mapping. The idea here is that you walk away with things and insights from these wonderful people I have up on stage with me that you can actually go and action yourselves for your own brands. So let's kick it off with a bit of an introduction from the panel. So Sam, I'm going to kick it over to you first.
Good afternoon, Sam Agris, Commerce Strategy with Accenture. And I think what we've all heard the last day is that we don't have the time to wait anymore.
Chris Baltuznik, Director of Digital Experience and E-commerce with Vitamix. So basically, I sell blenders on the internet, and I used that joke earlier in the panel, so sorry if you were on it. But I focus predominantly on B2C. I do have a B2B background with Owens Corning, so I can kind of shift in between the two.
Wilt Kishimoto, Director of Marketing, E-commerce, and Customer Experience at Primeline, and we create and manufacture door and window replacement hardware. You probably touched our products in your hotel room, you just didn't know it. And I manage B2C and B2B at Primeline.
All right, we've got some fantastic panelists here who are going to share their insights, but I actually want to start with a question to the audience. Who here is being asked to come up with some form of an AI strategy? Hands up. That's a lot of those hands, and probably every single brand that is in the audience, right? You're bored, your managers are saying, what are we doing? What's the strategy? And I kind of want to start there, but I want to start with the basics. Like, what does that even mean? What does an AI strategy mean? What does it mean for a team? How do you structure a team? How do you think about organizing a team for success? And maybe, Wilt, I'll hand that one to you first.
Oh, of course, yeah, hand it to me. We're pretty early on in our AI journey. We're a small team, and AI has really helped support us in our product information enhancements, as well as workflows behind the scenes. So it could be anything like creating executive summaries or executive type summaries for all our Bazaar Voice reviews, for example, so we can report on that. Another thing that we've done recently that we've been really trying to refine is just how we use AI in our product attribute creation or not creation, but refinement. There you go. Thank you. Refinement, optimizing for better content quality. Gen AI, you know, we have 8,000 SKUs. We don't have, I wish we had a studio where we could take pictures or of our products in the wild, but we don't. And so sometimes we have to be a little creative. And so trying to find the right solution that looks natural and looks appetizing for our consumers. So.
I'm actually going to ask you a follow-up before I hand to Chris. I'm curious how you structure the team. Right? I think many folks in the audience will be struggling with this as well. It's like, yes, okay, we need an AI strategy, but there are so many things we could do. Do you empower the team? Do you build guardrails? Did you give them tools? How did you go about it?
So I stole the strategy from somebody else at a different conference, but she was saying that she wanted to encourage her entire organization to use AI every day, whether they're in finance or customer service or anything like that. So within our team, I have a small team of about four folks, and you know we're trying to we're not trying to break AI, but we're trying to get to a point where just going through the free tools or the paid subscription tools just won't cut it anymore, or maybe we need to go and ask for help from outside of the organization. So we're really trying to do as much as we can, and we don't have a team that's, you know, AI native and that, you know, that is breathing and living and breathing this every day, but they are practitioners and they're just trying, and so we're really encouraging them just to keep trying, almost like a friend, you know, phone a friend. You're phoning AI.
Keep trying, see if you can break stuff, come and bring those learnings back. I like that. What about for you, Chris? How do you kind of approach it? How do you think about it?
Yeah, I'm curious, out of everyone who had raised their hand for being asked to do an AI strategy, how many are you tired of hearing it from people where nobody really understands what it means? Put your hands down, that was
That's every
rhetorical. That was
hand.
rhetorical, your leaders could be here. Anyways, I think the main problem is that we're asked to do this and we're trying to implement something without really understanding what problem it's trying to solve. So it's like creating outputs without understanding why, right? It's virtually reminiscent of the early .com days, where how many of you know NetSuites, or I'm sorry, not NetSuite, GeoCities, right? GeoCities. I bet you didn't think I was going to bring up GeoCities on this panel. Here we are. So really, back then with GeoCities, everyone was building a website without really fully understanding why. So it was like pretty content, essentially a glorified welcome mat, right? So it wasn't strategic at all. And we're seeing a lot of that with AI right now, which is the problem. So if your AI isn't tied to some kind of business problem, a measurable outcome, an operational efficiency gain, then you need to rethink your strategy. So really how I look at it is AI is not the strategy. You already have your business strategies. AI is the capability that helps you execute and accelerate that strategy. So let's go back to GeoCities. We're going to go back. For GeoCities, the strategy was essentially build a website, but that shouldn't have been the strategy. The strategy should have been, let's go to where the customers are transacting and have a presence there. And then building the website was a capability to achieve that. So with that, looking at it that way, it's like, to answer the question, how do I look at AI strategy? I don't look at AI as a strategy. I look at it as a capability. So sorry if that was a non-answer, but.
No, I like it. You pushed back. You said it was the wrong question, which I think is fantastic. Don't be asking that question. If someone comes to you, if your team is coming, if your management is coming and saying, what's your AI strategy? You say, my AI strategy is to deliver on the business strategy. That's the point. We've defined revenue growth. We've defined customer expansion, whatever it might be. This has to line up to that strategy. Otherwise, it's pointless and we're just creating churn. I think that was a fantastic answer.
There was no rehearsal, if you can't tell.
And Sam, you're working with hundreds of customers at Accenture, and I'm sure lots of them are coming to you and saying, help us figure out what to do. How do you answer that question? Where do you start?
So you're right. We get that a few times. The first question, or the first conversation rather, isn't about technology. It's about ownership. Who owns the commercial result of being found, having a good, positive transactional experience, and building and growing the relationship? They're not asking the technology question or trying to figure out what the right technology is. They're looking at the overall journey, identifying where it's breaking, and then assigning somebody to fix it.
Find the problem. Where's it breaking? How could we fix it and potentially do that with AI? I like that. Okay. We said at the start, this is all about walking through ideas that honestly you can steal and you can go and hopefully apply in your businesses. So let's get straight in and start diving into that. Let's see what these guys come up with. Let's put them on the spot. Let's start with you, Chris. On the B2C side, what sort of things have worked? What have you tried that you've actually seen results from that you said, oh yeah, that can impact the business?
Yeah, so before I go into the results, let's talk about the problem. So see what I did there? So the problem was that for Vitamix specifically, we had a lot of friction in our customer experience. So you wouldn't think it because we're just blenders, but there's a lot of confusion when you're going to our website in terms of what blender you should buy. You wouldn't think so. But again, it's like, how many of you would know to buy a 48-ounce container versus a 64? How many of you would know to buy a 22 horsepower motor as opposed to a 20? I don't even know that, and I work there. So there was, we're seeing a lot on the website of people, confusion, and essentially leaving and probably going to buy on Amazon for a cheaper price, right? We needed to capture that consumer as he stays on the website. So the strategy was to create a frictionless customer experience. The capability was to use AI-driven personalization to do so. So without getting too much into the weeds, for the personalization, AI was able to essentially understand what the consumer, where he was in the journey, and then predict what was next and be able to feed content based on that instance. So for example, if somebody was new to the website, they'd be fed more so education. If somebody was comparing, it'd simplify the comparison tools. And if somebody was, kind of at the end of the journey, it would show proofs or or things like that to really try to enable that conversion. So as a KPI, the one measure we were really trying to get to was that conversion, to which we did see an increase. The other increase we saw is we had fewer returns. So that wasn't even a KPI we were measuring, just kind of like an added value that we were going to achieve that.
That's great. So build those customer cohorts, change the experience to drive to the outcomes, which for you were returns and were improved conversion. I'm curious what your feedback loop looked like there and how you optimize that over time, and whether or not you've been able to do that to improve, and how you've measured that and refined the cohorts.
It's very early on in the process.
Yeah.
So in terms of like retooling and understanding, we're still in infancy stages, but that's essentially phase 2 of it, to really be able to develop it and A/B test and kind of figure out what the best customer journey is to ensure this conversion that we're trying to achieve.
Gotcha. And I think for anyone in the room, one of the key takeaways there was if you're ordering a Vitamix, go on Amazon and not on their direct site because it's cheaper.
No, don't do that. It's not cheaper. I was saying from a competitor standpoint.
Gotcha.
Yeah, don't buy from our competitors. Their products aren't good. Sorry.
Yes. No ninjas, none of that. We don't like that. So that's from a B2C perspective, which makes a lot of sense, right? Building a buyer experience, a consumer experience that leads to improved conversion, that makes sure that the products that are being purchased are right for the needs. That's obviously important in B2B too, and that reduces the returns. Let's put a B2B hat on. Wilt, what from your perspective have you been testing, trying, that you've seen has worked? What problems have you been trying to solve?
One problem that we've been trying to solve is expanding our B2B footprint. We're a year into our BigCommerce journey now, B2B, and it's been fantastic. Plug for BigCommerce, everybody.
Thank you. Didn't pay him.
But our customers, our B2B customers historically have been the Home Depots and Lowe's and HD Supplies and companies like that. And so when we were looking at our B2B platform and what kind of companies and what that was going to look like, we thought maybe more of the same, small hardware stores or mobile repair, screen repair, window repair people. And using AI and looking at a customer segmentation, we realized there were segments that we didn't even think about. If anybody here has ever stayed in a short-term rental or own short-term rentals, suddenly that became a segment that we just didn't dream of that they were somebody we should be thinking about. So that's just one example of just opening our eyes and pointing us in a direction by looking at who's transacting with us and what they're buying and seeing that. And maybe we could have come to that eventually, but just being able to leverage, again, understanding what the need was and what our problems and using different ways of trying to get to an answer. AI happened to be really helpful for that. And then another quick one is for those customers, those B2B customers that are transacting with us, we sell fasteners, and I'm not a DIY person. I don't know a whole lot about hardware. And so to me, a screw is a screw and a bolt is a bolt, but apparently that's not the case. So, and my team is very well versed in this. And we have 8,000 SKUs, 2,000 or 3,000 fasteners. How are we going to optimize, and what do we need? What do we need to do? AI has helped us point us in the right direction, show us some gaps. And I mean, it's still early days, but I can't tell you it's 10, 20, 30% lift or anything like that, but we are seeing revenue from SKUs that haven't been touched in a long time. And so that's just showing us, okay, folks are coming, they're landing, they're transacting, they're learning, and they're finding the right thing and taking off with it. So we've been again, we just keep trying, keep working at it.
I like that. I think one of the things that we talked about actually when we were prepping for the panel, we did prep for the panel, was outside of e-commerce, but you're a small team and you didn't have project management. And you're actually using AI to help project manage anything across the team. I think we call it AI nagging.
Yeah, so just like everybody here, I'm sure many people here are using Jira or any other tools. We use Asana, and Asana is something, you know, we brought it on just for all the reasons why you would bring on a tool like that. And we started using their AI feature. And it was great because I didn't have to get on my team and say, hey, Chris, that thing that you needed, the due date is here. The AI person would nag us for it. And I hated it when it was pointed at me. You know, you got a due date or hey, it looks like you're missing something, you know, in your project description. So, but in all seriousness, it did keep a fire underneath us. And whereas we don't have those kinds of resources in real life, so to speak, but to have it as an AI guardrail or support has been really helpful for us.
Do you think there's more accountability when a person is chasing you or the AI?
I don't feel as bad when the AI is nagging my team. So I mean, yeah, I don't know, but it certainly helped me. I mean, I could watch the whole process, but
that's great.
It was helpful. Yeah.
All right, Sam, I'd like to bring you in here for a perspective, kind of across multiple merchants. Right, you're seeing B2B, B2C, lots of different projects. Let's kind of bridge the B2B, B2C divide as well. What patterns are you seeing? What trends are you seeing? What are merchants asking you for?
Yeah, what's interesting is in B2B and B2C, the patterns are actually fairly similar. The data is different, right? So across both, you want to be found, you want to make sale, you want to extend the relationship. In B2B, discoverability is really key, and it comes before data. So in B2B, if in our current world, if the agents don't find you, you don't have the opportunity to deliver that experience that you've been working so hard on. You don't have the ability to grow the relationship. And that's where it can break. So for the B2B folks, and this works for B2C too, but for the B2B folks in the room, a DIY thing you can do in an hour in an afternoon, put your customer hat on, open up your laptop and look at your favorite LLM. Look like your customer will for products and solutions that you sell and see what happens. Do you show up? Do your competitors show up? You'll know pretty quickly where you stand if you're playing catch up or if you have the opportunity to lead. Either way, the window's closing quickly and you need to act.
Yeah, I really like that as a suggestion, right? It's such a simple thing to go and do. And I advise every business to go out and do that. I was actually on a webinar with a BigCommerce customer called Mavora. They sell implants for animals. And I thought, I'm going to go and test this out. And I went and I asked ChatGPT, I think it was at the time, I'm looking for a replacement knee for a Great Dane. And it gave me a bunch of details on it. And then I said, no, I want a specific product and where can I buy it? And the results of 1 and 3 in the list were Mavora. And I sort of asked it, why did you pick? And I think that's the important thing as well, is you don't just ask the question, then ask it, why did you pick this? Where did you get the information from? And it was really clear in its answer. Mavora has amazing reviews, and they've got detailed documentation and information on their site about how to choose the best replacement knee for a Great Dane. And that then becomes the information that if you're a Mavora competitor in the audience, you need to go and improve that on your website so you can compete. Or of course, in whatever category it is that you're competing in today. So we've spoken about wins and things that people can do. I think it's always interesting to find out what went wrong. What were the things you wish you hadn't done or you wish you knew up front? And maybe I'll come to you with that one. Things that might have gone wrong, things that, we probably shouldn't have bothered going down that because it was a bit of a waste of time.
I spoke earlier about generating images using AI. I am not good enough to do that, nor do I have access to the tools that will allow me to do that. So that's probably a different solution. I'll probably have to spend a lot more money. Again, it will be cheaper than buying a house or an office building and using that as my own set. But yeah, you've all heard the stories, the 6 fingers and the 3 arms and all that. You know, trying to have our product, you know, showcased in the wild. You know, we spent months trying to figure this out, and we just couldn't do it. And again, the tools are probably out there that are probably better tools, but we just decided we needed to go a little bit more guerrilla and just figure out different ways of doing it in real life. But once we cross that hurdle, we'll be really happy, because then we can have a lot more content.
I guess it's a reasonable technical product where the details matter in that image, and yeah, you get the size of the bolt a little off, you get the screwing a bit wrong, yeah, that doesn't look right, and it's not going to instill confidence. What about you, Chris? Are there any things that you thought, oh, that was the wrong avenue to go down?
Yeah, I think the main challenge was really just getting started, right? So it's super overwhelming. You know, it's a new thing that's available. Everyone's scared it's going to take over our jobs, right? So why would I implement it to essentially replace me? But really just like tying it to a certain initiative and not looking at it like this broad overarching enterprise thing. I think that's how you like really get into it and start moving forward, and then you'll see like wins and things like that. But for me personally, it was just getting started. It was, you know, that how much of a lift is this going to be for me? Do I have time for this? How complicated is this going to be? So once that was kind of figured out, it was a lot easy to move through to say like, this is what we want to do and this is what we want to achieve.
Yeah. And Sam, you will have seen this across lots of different businesses. What are the mistakes that you've seen folks make?
Yeah, I think the most honest mistake, if you will, is asking the wrong question first. It's starting with technology and not with design. So we're working with a large industrial manufacturer who had a email-heavy RFQ process, and they wanted to optimize it. And the unlock in the conversation was more, if we designed it for how customers behave today, what would it look like? And you know, that just opened up a whole different type of conversation where we weren't trying to fix a technology, something we were actually optimizing value longer term. And I think the simple lesson for us is, and I think I heard Andy Hoare say something actually similar to this earlier, is don't automate what you have, redesign for what you need.
Mm-hmm. So think about the process first, what you want that process to be, and then build on top of that to make the process automated through AI. Not go and automate your bad process, which for the B2B businesses in the room will know
you
all too well about.
End up with, you know, more bad faster.
More bad, at least it's faster, I guess.
So fast, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's still
Bringing it back.
And now we're just spending a lot of tokens on it, so it's great.
That's right.
Yeah, now the token usage has gone through the roof, but hey, at least it's a little bit quicker for that bad process. I feel like it's only fair if I also admit something that I've done that wasn't so great with AI. I'm not just going to call all of these guys out. If you send me an email now, I get an auto-drafted response for you, and it will personalize it to you. It knows everything about me. I built in a little fun little Easter egg that if you want a joke, it'll tell you a fun little joke as well, and it'll personalize that too. I may have at some point accidentally turned it on to just respond to people and didn't realize that I had done that for a little bit, and that wasn't great. I advise against doing that. And if anyone's tried OpenClaw, be very careful with that. That can go down a very hairy road.
Give us an example of something specifically within that didn't go great.
What within?
With it responding to somebody.
I don't know that I want to share some of those. It's not good. What I can tell you is I also used OpenClaw, bad little rabbit hole, but I did have a friend message me and it did respond. I should admit this, but with a password that it should not have sent it. It was not good. Don't do that, people. Put guardrails around what you're doing. We're getting towards time, but what I want to do as we sort of start to wrap up is, as you guys are thinking about your roadmaps and the future, as it relates to AI, commerce or otherwise, what's on it? What are you looking at next? What's exciting you? And let's go to Wilt first.
I'm really looking forward to being able to take written POs and zap them into the system. We do trade shows and we have order forms, and after the trade show, there's a stack of order forms that our customer service team needs to go through. And
Have you heard of the BigCommerce purchase order agent? I think they announced
tell
it
me
today.
more about this. No, yes, I have heard about it. So
It does take images. We've already tested it.
So no, processes, small team, being able to finish tasks quickly. Certainly, that's a great use case that we're looking forward to. And then from there, just helping consumers find the right whatever it is on our site. We have like
Semantic search.
Yeah. I mean, our parts are like auto parts. A type of thing might fit many different cars, but each car has a certain one. And so it's the same thing with windows and doors. And I think that's a challenge that we're looking forward to unlocking.
Awesome. Chris, what's next for Vitamix?
Yeah, for us, along those lines, it's customer service, figuring out ways in which to automate certain things. That's been a challenge of ours for so long that we're exploring ways in which there are solves for it through AI that really are game changers for us. So we're in the exploration phase of that right now, but with what we're hearing, with what's out there, I mean, this essentially could solve a lot of issues for us, solve a lot of issues for our customers, essentially just becoming a win-win for everyone.
Is that B2B or B2C? Both?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Everything.
So problems, returns potentially, management, questions about the product isn't doing what I thought it was supposed to, or I'm not using it correctly, answering those questions right there for the...
I don't even want to go into half the things that people call in and say. It's that's for another story. That's over a couple drinks, I think.
Okay. He will be upstairs later with a drink in hand, and we can find out what customers ask Vitamix.
I'll be here all day.
Sam, what about for you? As you look kind of to the future, for your customers, the customers that Accenture supports, what are you advising them is next and the most exciting things coming up?
I think one of the most exciting things is there's been so many promises we've had over time that we've been trying to figure out. And I think this is one of them. We can finally stop reporting in the past and start predicting what's next. So take two steps. One, identify a commercial process that over the next 90 days, customer churn or customers ready to buy something new. Then train an agent on what that looks like. What do those actions look like before that actually happens? And then appoint a leader to take that action and do something with it. So the real shift here isn't that we're giving AI everything and it's going to take over. It's that we give AI the ability to see and we empower the humans to act.
Mm-hmm. I really like that, because actually what I wanted to sort of finish with as well is that kind of one kind of takeaway for folks in the audience. Like, if there is one thing that you would advise people to go away and do, what would that be? And maybe I'll come to you first, Chris.
Do something. First and foremost, make sure that, if you're behind the game on it right now, that doesn't mean you're down and out. Like, figure out a specific business problem that you want to solve, and then go figure out how to solve it and leverage AI as a capability to do so. So it seems overwhelming, but go after it. Don't be scared.
Wilt?
I echo the Chris, right? All right.
I need for like 10 minutes.
I needed AI to help me there. No, no. I totally agree with that statement. It's get out there, try to do it. I sometimes watch like younger folks and how they interact with AI, and whereas I'm on ChatGPT on my phone, please show me a restaurant in the area that does this. And they're talking into their phone. They're like, "Hey man, I just did this, and I need it. I'm hungry, but I had Chinese yesterday." It's like they're just so natural with it. And so, again, that's what I've been trying to tell, encourage within the team and amongst ourselves, is just to keep working at it. And it may solve a problem someday that you didn't know it could solve. Right? It might do something that you never anticipated. So,
I like that. Sam, you got anything to add?
I just go back to imagine what your customer needs, and think about your customer, and as they go through the journey, how are they experience What's their experience with you look like? How are they learning? How are they buying? How are you helping them grow? And with that in mind, go play. You're not going to break anything, but you'll learn something along the way.
I like that a lot. I think mine was going to be email Lance and ask him for his passwords, because apparently it just gives them all. Maybe don't do that. I think mine's Wilt's, which was go and ask any of those AIs questions that your customers would be asking, and then ask it how you improve your business to appear in those answers. This has been a fantastic panel. I want to thank Wilt, Chris, and Sam so much for joining me. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you.